Howdy, y'all. Active Asshole on Roids here with another glorious rant. That's Active Asshole on Roids, kryptonite for conservatives. I'm off my roids, off my rocker, and ready to pound some right-wing assholes. Let's get started. Today I'm going to talk about a specific complex we see among the right, specifically among the right-wing militia types and these NRA nuts. These right-wing militia nuts, I've always noticed that simultaneously they pull off these mental acrobatics where they wrap themselves into a philosophical pretzel uh, around somehow they've reconciled the idea of, and I know logic doesn't apply to these people because they have their own circular logic that they base around this antiquated Thomas Aquinas bullshit notion of natural law, but again, I'm just going to hit on this anyway. It's been eating away at me for a while. I've been meaning to do a video on this. Um, Conservatives, right-wing militia group people, these Birchers, these sovereign citizen movement types, these Timothy McVeigh, Terry Nichols, candlelight vigil holding nut jobs. Let me grab a drink here. Good stuff. These nut jobs, they somehow reconcile the idea that America, that the United States, that they can this idea that they can defeat the United States government, that they can rise up with their little pea shooters against the United States government, but at the same time, they acknowledge that our country has the greatest military in the world. They acknowledge that we have the most bloated military budget, the best military technology by far. But somehow they still believe that in spite of all of these different technological advantages that the military has, as well as personnel, money, funding, personnel and human resources are the same thing. Equipment, they still think they'll win. They still think that their little that they're going to succeed. That's the thing, and this arrogant belief that somehow they're going to be left standing in spite of things like, I don't know, drones, stealth bombers, satellites that can see them from space, all that kind of stuff. Bunker busters that can cause miniature earthquakes and destroy any underground facilities, and simulate the effects of nuclear weapons without the fallout. And let's not forget neutron bombs developed during the Cold War that can kill people without destroying property at all, leaving material wealth intact. Let's remember all of these things. Let's think about all these things. All of these technological weapons advancements that the United States military has at its disposal, whether it be weapons designed to fight a Cold War that no longer exists, or whether it be weapons developed since the end of the Cold War, they still believe, they hold on to this mythology that they'll win, that they have a chance, that somehow running around the sticks they'll win. They really do see themselves as modern day Paul Revere's, only without the ideals of the Enlightenment behind them. It's amazing, It's amazing that they make this. They somehow reconcile these two things: the idea that that our country has the most powerful military and the most advanced military in the world, with this ludicrous idea that if they rise up, they're going to beat them. They actually do believe that it's going to be like it was with Vietnam, or like it was with the British Empire in the Revolutionary War. They believe this stuff, and they conveniently omit. They really don't understand history as well as they think they do. They think they know the Constitution. They think that they're big on the history of the Revolutionary War and all that. They don't know shit. Almost none of them realize that the only reason why the colonists won at all was because 90% of the gunpowder was provided by the French Empire. 90%. We had over 28,000 uniforms and pairs of boots supplied to us by the French military. We had hundreds of cannons and thousands of muskets provided by the French military. The Revolutionary War was not just the Revolutionary War. It was a proxy war of France and the Spanish Empire, the French Empire and the Spanish Empire's war against the British Empire. And the thing is, when we were when our ancestors were, some of our ancestors, well, when our forefathers were fighting against the British Empire, they were fighting against the B team of the British Empire. Most of the major players in the British Army, which itself wasn't really as big as the land army of the French Empire, they only had like 90,000 personnel worldwide in the British Empire's military at any given time. And then there's the fact that the British Navy couldn't really be used to full capacity against the colonists anyway, because they were being pounded from two different directions by the Spanish and the French. And if you want to count privateers from the colonies, yeah, those two, you can count those two. But it's they think that somehow that they buy into this mythology that somehow they're the ones that our ancestors won on their own. No. The British had both arms and legs tied behind their backs during the entirety of the Revolutionary War, and for the most part, the British considered the American colonies not really that important. I mean, yes, we exported indigo and tobacco and things, but the fact of the matter is, the British had already acquired territories in other parts of the world, particularly India, had long replaced the colonies in terms of importance. The British saw the 13 colonies as overly expensive to manage, and they couldn't even get us to fund our own self-defense, just because we were too entitled to pay taxes that were actually much lower than those that were being charged to the people living in other parts of the British Empire, particularly the British Isles themselves. Okay? Think about that for a second. Think about all of these things for a second. Right-wing militia people think that somehow they buy into this mythology that we did it ourselves, and I understand that a lot of the reason why many Americans don't understand the real extent to how easy our guys actually had it comparatively. I mean, what the Vietnamese did, that was spectacular. They fought 5 different people in a row, one after another. First the Chinese, then the Japanese, first the Chinese, then the French Empire, then the Japanese during World War II, and the Japanese surrendered to the Viet Cong, the Viet Minh. They were called the Viet Minh then. And then the French Empire again, after they tried to retake it, and then they beat the shit out of us and then they fought China again, and they won all of those wars with relatively little outside help. I mean, yes, sure, the Chinese and the Russians helped them a little bit during the Vietnam War, but they largely their accomplishment in beating us was far more real than what our own founding fathers' accomplishment over the British Empire was. We were fighting we were basically doing, if the military of the British Empire were a football team, I'd have to say that I'd have to say that that our forefathers were fighting the white kids of the team after. Again, yeah, I know that's bad, but still, we were fighting we were basically fighting not even the B team when you think about it. We were fighting the freaking C team of the British Empire in the Revolutionary War, and yet the right wing in this country, the right wing militia people, they really do believe that somehow their pea shooters are going to their little M16s and all that their AK-47s are really going to do anything. The Area R-15s are really going to do anything against the United States military. Seriously, that just shows that no matter how well many conservatives publicly claim that they renowned, no matter how much renown that they publicly claim that they have for our military, they're still too damn arrogant to believe that they should give that they should give our military more respect. More credit than they give themselves. I mean, the American right. Again, this is an extension of the fact of the whole attitude on the American right, that they really do believe in their heart of hearts that they've got it figured out in some way, that everyone else, every one of us, don't have it figured out. They really do believe that they're somehow better than everyone, because they believe that they can pull off the impossible. Even they believe that they can make their beliefs a self-fulfilling prophecy, no matter how out there they are. And it's all because of the circular logic built around this antiquated Thomas Aquinas 4th century bullshit natural law. Well, Cicero was originally the one who developed the whole natural law idea, and this whole natural law idea gives them a nice convenient out to say that conservatives believe in equality, at least in the metaphysical sense, because they believe that everyone is equal in the sense that they are capable of understanding natural law, but they believe that people are unequal in that that not all people will understand natural law. That's how they believe. And because natural law is largely based around metaphysical crap that has no bearing on the real world, it's basically one giant right-wing circle jerk, a circular logic circle jerk that the American right uses to insulate themselves. And that's the best way that I can really see it. That's the best way I can explain why the American right have this arrogant belief that they as a bunch of hicks on hover-rounds riding around in the bushes out in the South, these sovereign citizen nuts, they think that's my take on it. You know, they're arrogant enough to believe it because they have an entire belief based on fantasy, Red Dawn fantasies, Frederick Hayek and Ayn Rand and all that. It's also based on natural law, on a very antiquated idea of natural law that has no real relevance to the real world. And that's my rant. Again, this is Active Asshole on roids, and I think this has been a good vid. No transcript, just me trying to tell it like it is, or at least the way I see it. You know, if it talks like a duck and it walks like a duck, and it if it quacks like a duck, it's a motherfucking duck. You know.